Hi, this is Dr. Scott, and today we're going to get into this hearing loss and dementia issue. Now, we get this conversation all the time, and people think about Alzheimer's and they hear about this word and they really haven't heard it very well, or they don't understand it very well, and they hear dementia, and they hear this word, and they hear Alzheimer's and they hear old timers. And I'm like, I understand. And I'm not talking just about hearing loss, but they haven't really understood it fully yet. Dementia is the overall term for all kinds of different ones. For instance, my mother in law had vascular dementia. And so when we have that kind of issue, there's different types of ones that can happen. Vascular because of blood flow issue, very, very common in a lot of women as they get older with that too. What happens with a cognitive decline? What occurs for people is that they're struggling with issues that come up. So the same calculations of how to get from here to the grocery store become very difficult for that person to do. Or remembering the grocery list as they got to the store becomes very difficult as well. Or how do you get through the different aisles, or where would you go at the aisles would also be very difficult too. So those same tasks can't happen. Going to the doctor and telling them all the different things that you might have problems with, again, would be those areas. And then what happens is you become more frustrated by that issue too. But what we also notice is, sorry, excuse me, I popped that little thing. What we also notice is that seniors with hearing loss experience worse cognitive decline 3.2 years earlier than those of their normal hearing counterparts. Now, the reality is most seniors do have hearing loss, but there are plenty of seniors who don't have hearing loss with that too. But if you have hearing loss and cognitive decline, you're going to see a quicker notice of that cognitive decline in there. So the dementia is there with that too. Now, also what occurs for people is hearing loss seniors notice memory loss 30 to 40% worse than their normal hearing counterparts. Now, you might say, well, that's the same kind of thing. Well, yes and no. Memory loss is trying to be able to recall that even short-term issues versus long-term issues. So long-term issues are remembering, what happened in your childhood versus the short-term areas with that too. Those can be very big issues for patients that have those problems. Now, those with hearing loss are 2 to 5 times more likely to develop dementia depending upon the hearing loss with that too. And that's why I always say, hey, listen, get it checked out with that too. Because here's the thing that I see struggling quite a bit. And I'm watching patients around me that I see this quite a bit. Hearing loss plus dementia equals something called depression. Guess what happens? When you see that you can't do those same tasks that you used to be able to do, I mean, even very simple tasks, it's so depressing with that too. But I have watched patients that we have helped their hearing, their dementia is reduced, and they're more happy because they can be able to play cards. See, here's what I'm saying. You think, well, I don't need to deal with that issue. I don't need to deal with the hearing loss. Guess what? As we get older, and I'm feeling that way too, as we get older, communication is way more important than those physical tasks of playing basketball or whatever else that you might have done when you were younger. So the non-physical tasks are way more important to us because hearing loss plus depression actually increases a paranoia in our patients as well. And we see this quite a bit. So they're more paranoid, and you don't want to be that. So get your hearing addressed so that you don't have any of those issues, so that your hearing loss doesn't become an issue with your dementia, and you can reduce both your dementia and your depression, and you don't lead into the paranoia with it too. We don't want to see that for people. We can see a happier person. I see this all the time. And I'm going to leave you with this one last story. I had a patient who came into me one time and he had massive problems. He goes, I just don't go to church anymore because I don't have anything good to say. And long story with that, 6 months later, he's wearing his hearing aids and he goes, yeah, I was having problems with my hearing aid because, I'm checking it out. And it's like, oh yeah, well, it's just, messed up here. It was plugged up, removed the wax. And I said, wait, you're going to church again? And he goes, yeah. He had forgotten that he was going to church. He had forgotten he didn't, that he told me that he was going to church again. I'm like, holy cow, you're going to church again. That's awesome. You see, that's the cool part of the circumstance. We want you to do those same things again. Thanks so much.